Hey folks, this is Ben Yessel. How's it going? Quick video here before I go to bed here. Well, I love my church. I love my religion. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But goodness knows, I've had my beefs with people in my church. I mentioned in the last video something along those lines. I really wish it didn't have anything to do with my church. I really wish life was completely different in many respects throughout my whole life, but it is what it is. So there's a young woman that I knew in one of my previous congregations who is a composer like myself, I guess, who, well, quite frankly, not nearly in the same ballpark as me, but I'm just being honest here. But I do think well of her, of course. The thing is I see sometimes in my emails, I see people's Facebook posts that supposedly, I'm friends with. So this woman just comes out and says on her Facebook, I'm assuming it's her Facebook page, she wants guys to stop showing romantic interest in her because it's her music page for Facebook. And it just, these things get me going because I know what kind of woman this woman is. I'm not saying she's bad. I think she's a good person. I, you know, why would I want to pick on this person? Well, folks, look, there's so many different kinds of women and men out there. It's like, I've only met a very small percentage of them, but I've known a fair number of them. And this kind of stuff, man, look, if you actually, it could have been like a music or business page or whatever. I get that this is not an uncommon thing, but Facebook, Facebook is not LinkedIn. Um, if you have an internet, or if you have a web page on the internet that you're paying money for, and that is a business page, then, I think it's very sensible to be like, what's going on here? But, I would imagine anybody who's single, if the other person looks like someone they want to date, would probably be like, hey, sure, right? All this depends on the person, but usually, if you're talking about someone's business page, they expect things to be something business related, right? Again, it depends on the person if they would um, take something negatively that was not business related in terms of contacting somebody on their business page, right? It depends on the person, but I would think that something negative would probably be more likely to be associated with something like that rather than a Facebook page. Facebook, you don't pay money for Facebook. You know, it's a little bit different ballpark in my opinion. The reason why people will want to show interest in someone on Facebook has a lot to do with the fact that it's easy and you're not talking to somebody directly, and um, that other person can see what that person looks like if it's a real if it's a real person, of course. And so this is again why maybe some people don't want to get these messages on Facebook, because maybe if they don't know that person in real life, they don't they just don't know. So that actually makes a lot of sense too. And so this is maybe this feeds into the whole idea of Facebook just being a real headache for everybody. Period. It's a handy way of keeping people that you want to at least associate with at some level, keeping them all in the same spot, I suppose. So, but it's just that, again, we have a lot of weird people doing weird things, and sometimes what is considered weird is also a question of what different kinds of people consider to be weird. And, you know, it's just, I would say more about this person, but out of respect for her, I probably shouldn't. But it's just that you have some people out there that really, really have a hard time. And I mean, I have my own issues. I have my own a tough time with my own things, and it's often regarding people in my church and the attitudes and things that I come across. To be quite honest, because it's very, amongst members of my church, we're so insistent that we marry people in our church, and everybody else outside of our church seems to think that's the case too. And so it's just this big thing. It's just so stupid. But tend to have these attitudes and behaviors and things that really rub me the wrong way sometimes. They really do. And oh boy. So, this coming from this kind of person, on the one hand, I understand a lot of it. On the other hand, I don't have a whole lot of mercy. Mixed feelings. Because, it's like, well, I mean, just regarding a similar subject, but different subject, I could be a real stick in the mud regarding my own policies, lesson policies, and cancellations and everything like that. Yeah, and then I could, make some parents really angry. I could be that way, but I am not really that way. I have my own reasons why I do what I do, and I tend to do those things that I've always felt most comfortable with, personally. And that's the way I roll. And I don't like being that person, I don't want to marry somebody who's that kind of person. But if, so let's just go through this a bit more, because I think this is important. There are a fair number of people out there that, um, have a lot more issues than me, I'll put it that way, with regard to this whole area of life. Quite a few people out there that have more problems than I do, and that's okay. I've had one of my aunts mentions that some kinds of people like this are, in her estimation, kind of perverted. And again, that whole arena kind of well, it's just opinions vary, I guess. But um, it's kind of like there are a lot of, oh man, so when I was growing up, there were women that my parents are always shunning me from their, well, they're always, I don't know, uneasy about me spending time with them. A lot of young women like that. Then there were young women that my parents were very happy with. And those women were often very hard to romance, to feel like you're ever going to be anything more than friends. And I had no clue what was happening with women and what they thought about me when I was younger. So, two kinds of women, more or less. Those that I was forbidden to associate with, and those that, more or less, and those, or at least those that, many of those, once they knew I was LDS, like, yeah. And then the second kind being the well-behaved woman. And no, they were not as, often not as interested in, I don't know. It was almost like I don't know. I often wondered about things like sex drives, to be quite frank. But it's often more involved than that. But it's kind of like there are some women that I guess have unusually high sex drives, and that makes them more promiscuous. But then there are some that are like that I guess aren't that way. But I don't know. Yeah, it was a headache to try to figure all that out. It still is on some level, and then we have people that have to figure all this out still, that are women that, you know, want what I want. But, if there are, I have no idea who this woman is interested in. I haven't talked to this person for a while. But if they want to be, if they want to have relationships with people that are maybe too shy to talk to her in person, but they're still great guys, I don't know. I just don't know who this woman is really interested in anyway. I have no idea, and I don't know. I just don't know. There's a lot of things about people I haven't learned yet. At some point, maybe I will. But it's that kind of stuff that drives people away. Is what we say and how we act, are these things that will, you know, invite people into our lives or push them away? And so this is I don't know, one of the problems with people in my church. It's women. I'm looking at women, but because I'm a guy, and a lot of us decide to marry outside of our church, and we have all kind. It's really messed up, and it's the same deal with other churches, with these kinds of people. You have people that have these weird ideas about people or funny ideas about people. Yeah, you try to figure things out. But there's always only so much you can figure out. At some point, you just live life, But I've just found that it's only natural with people of our own sex, if we're heterosexual, especially, at least. But I don't know. At some level, it's just everybody. But you tend to have more compassion for guys, and you tend to have less compassion for women. A lot of times, but it isn't quite that simple, I suppose. But it's kind of like, um, sometimes what other guys are going through or have gone through or whatever. And so it makes it easier to not feel as competitive in a way. Not that I don't know, but or it makes it easier to not be as surly about toward other guys if you're feeling surly. And it's not easy for guys sometimes to talk about this stuff, but it it can be a good thing. Because, a lot of times it's not a big thing, but yeah, on some level, I think for some guys it takes at least a fair bit of trust to talk about this stuff. Women may be more sensitive in some respects. I don't know about this stuff, but it's it's kind of like one of the most frustrating things about life is like whenever you make a blanket statement about the opposite sex, it's just never true because there's always exceptions to it. If it if there is any truth to it, it's probably only a matter of time before you find somebody that's an exception to it. You know? So now you know why I'm not often on Facebook. I see this stuff going on. And for the life of me, I'm like, I mean, is this person honestly worried about somebody thinking that she's less professional? Or is she trying to divide? I don't know what her objective is about this stuff. A Facebook page is always going to be on some level kind of social because it's Facebook. It kind of depends on the venue, you know. So anything that's a Facebook page is going to be Facebook culture. LinkedIn has its own culture. YouTube has its own culture. And it isn't really up to us. Yes and no. It's largely up to it's largely up to the company that provides the forum for you to have your page. And if you have your own website, then it's up to you. You know. But there's no way to prevent people, there's no way to prevent people on Facebook from being however they're going to be. The only thing a person can do on Facebook is to block people. So I imagine in this particular woman's case, there are probably a fair number of guys that are talking to her on Facebook because it's easier to talk to someone on Facebook than real life. And it's bothering her. But it shouldn't. Why shouldn't it? Like, I would think that it'd be bothersome if you don't like the guy. You honestly don't like him. But if you're not sure about him, or you're just scared of marriage or intimacy or whatever it is, that's a different deal. But it might, for all I know, it might result in a similar kind of response. But it's funny because some people are scared. Other people are actually averse to. Hey, everybody has their own reasons, I suppose. Everyone has their own psychology behind all this stuff, and it's stupid how this can result in so much sadness in our lives, I suppose. The thought comes to my mind of wanting to marry somebody who thinks like I do. Even, other than, in so many respects, just operates like I do. I would have a hard time marrying somebody who they were just, I don't know. So, but there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of misunderstanding out there still. And it's a very big thing with younger people, of course. And it still is the case with middle-aged and even some older people, Of course. And it's kind of like, well, I mean, either you like somebody or you don't. If they're in between, but you at least respect them, it's up to you if you shut them out or not, if you have life. But Facebook has all kinds of crazy people, going around. I don't bother with that anymore. I don't. I just don't bother with it. If there's a woman I come across in real life as a Facebook page, and but I'm really smitten by her, then sure, that's different, you know. But I'm if somebody wants to be a Facebook friend, I am not. I just am so done with pursuing women like that. And in website dating apps, there's one that I've been told that's pretty good. It just drives me nuts. This whole thing. I don't mind talking about it. I think it's very healthy to talk about this stuff. I don't even mind somebody chastising me a little bit. But I guess what I do mind is this incessant misunderstanding of who I am as a person. I just want people ultimately to understand who I am. Isn't that what we want as well? All of us listening? We want to be understood. And we also want to find compatible people. If we're trying to be someone else, we're not. Or we're trying to, you know what I mean? It could be that you're trying to be more like a certain way that you think will attract a certain woman in a way. That's very understandable. That's what we all did when we were, well, on some level, I think, at least consider doing that. You know, when we were younger or whatever, but it's just, we quickly realize it's pointless. And a lot of people aren't sure who they are anyway. I don't know. You know, it's just, but it's the attitude, man. It's like, I don't know. There was another woman that my mom is friends with who, she's a great lady. You know, she's married and stuff, and she has kids. I mean, this is somebody that I think very highly of. But different kinds of people respond differently, I suppose, to different situations in life. That's the best way of putting it, you know. But it's kind of like some people seem to uh, not overreact to certain things. Other people seem like they're, you know, oh my gosh, you know, someone gave you lemonade instead of pure sugar, and so you're having a conniption fit. You know what I mean? Like some people just seem like they're really, I mean, like, what the heck? So this woman, and the funny thing is I keep hearing things. This is somebody that I think very highly of, but I keep hearing things about this woman that, to me, sound a bit kind of like this is a sensitive person, more sensitive person in some respects, who might not fully understand certain situations at times, be they maybe a more frightening experience or more of an uneasy experience, or more of a pleasant experience, or I don't know. They'll just get the wrong idea. They'll just get the wrong idea. Sometimes about people even, but certain such situations. Now, actually, for this particular person, they'll probably have a better idea of what's going on than some other women I've known that are completely out to lunch about not only certain like different people, what they're like, but different circumstances. I mean, some women I've known are completely like they're basket cases, man. They can't make heads or tails of what's going on with this guy or this guy. I mean, you literally have to. And I'm not even talking about having a lower IQ. I'm just talking about basic human understanding. So I often wonder if part of the problem with like women in my church has a lot to do with the fact that they're sheltered so much. That they don't get out and meet enough people. I'm wondering on some level if that's happened to me in the past even though I'm introverted. But it's like if you just don't meet a lot of people, what the devil are you going to think about this person or that person? But it's different if you're introverted. If you're introverted, it's going to be harder anyway. So it's like, but we should have a lot of compassion and mercy to everyone. That's really the name of the game there too. But it's like, isn't it great? Wouldn't it be great just to meet somebody who doesn't misunderstand you and they're not full of worldly crap. Like they're a good soul. I mean, that's the kind of person I'm looking for. So they're a good person. They try to live a good life, and they get you on a very, very deep level. Very deep level. Yeah. Heck yeah. So these dumb Facebook posts, man. I mean, like, I'm asking myself sometimes, why do I even bother being Facebook friends with people that, well, and I say to myself, oh, because they're nice. They're a nice person, right? It's nice having them as a Facebook friend. I don't know. I don't have anything against them. I think they're fine. And then I would assume that, because I never put anything on Facebook anymore, but I just don't. I don't. But you would assume that if you ever interacted with them on Facebook, because they are indeed your Facebook friends, supposedly, that they would be as kind as forgiving as you are to them for all their foibles, So wouldn't it be interesting if they weren't? If they just got snippy with you, Like, a lot of people would just go, okay, we're done. Ding. I've never believed in, I don't believe in being that way. I want to meet everybody I can who's a great person. Of course I'm that way. Yeah. Holy crap, man. And that whole way of just being short with people, like, that are good people. It's just, it makes this whole arena of life much harder, you know. Do I want anything to do with this woman? I don't know. I seriously doubt it. The more I read messages like this, like, I'm not one of these people that sends love letters to, I guess, apparently business pages on Facebook. But if I ever did, I would imagine that the person I was more interested in probably would be interested in me and wouldn't mind if I put something on her, business page, apparently on Facebook. It's so stupid. Like, who honestly goes to a Facebook page, though, to look up something about some musician they're interested in? Who does that? No. It's not Facebook. It's YouTube, right? Or it's Spotify or something like that, or Pandora. Maybe it's probably Spotify or YouTube. It's not Facebook. Facebook is for saying hi to your grandma or something. I don't know. Well, if you have a phone number, saying hi to someone else's grandma. Facebook is for talking to people from Nigeria who want money. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Hopefully you guys are getting something out of this video. I'm wondering if you guys have had similar experiences with these kinds of women. Because believe me, they could be Christian just as well as they could be LDS. Doesn't really matter. It could be other women as well. We just want people to not have these attitudes, right? We want to meet people with the right attitudes in life, the right social attitudes as well. It's fine if they're introverted, just gotta Be available. Put yourself out there, in a good way. Talk to you later. Take care. Bye.